The U.S. House has passed a bill that requires proof of citizenship to vote. The bill has resulted in a heated debate on what ID requirements should be needed to cast a ballot. Critics point out that 146 million Americans don't have passports, and 69 million women don't have a birth certificate with their current name because they changed names when they married. But supporters say this is necessary to make sure only Americans vote. One of the fiercest critics of the SAVE Act is Minnesota Secretary of State Steve Simon. I spoke to him early this morning. And Secretary Simon is with us now. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
All right, I know you've spoken out about the SAVE Act. I want to read what Minnesota Congressman Tom Emmer has said about it. He said, by passing the SAVE Act, House Republicans are working to ensure that only American citizens vote in American elections, and voters across the political spectrum agree. Your thoughts about that statement, which Congressman Emmer just sent out to all his constituents?
I agree. We all want the same thing, which is we want only eligible voters to vote. And in Minnesota, we have an excellent, excellent record of that. Do you know there was a study done by a University of St. Thomas professor last summer? So this is fresh. He looked at 10 years worth of Minnesota voting from 2014 to 2024. 13.3 million voters voted for offices during that time. He found three examples of a non-citizen voting out of 13.3 million. So we're already doing a really good job. And the danger here with this SAVE Act is that it's overkill. It's shooting at a mosquito with a machine gun, and it could very well disenfranchise tens of thousands of Minnesotans who are eligible to vote. They're tax-paying, upstanding U.S. citizens who can't produce certain papers like birth certificates, like marriage records, like other things to comply with this bill.
Let me ask you this. One of the things that opponents point out is that some 46 million people in this country don't have passports, and passports are expensive, $130, and also 69 million women don't have birth certificates with their married name on it, because obviously at the time of their birth they weren't married. How much does that concern you?
It's a big, big deal, and I think Minnesotans should pay attention to this. You're right, 69 million American women have a different last name now than when they were born. Of those, north of 20 million do not have a passport. So what does that mean? Just practically in a common sense way. It means that that person would likely have to produce two documents in person, not online, not remotely, in person. One would be a birth certificate, and then a second document would be a marriage record, both. And we know from the experience of states that have tried this, there are only a couple, including Kansas about a decade and a half ago. There, it was a disaster. In that one state, you had 26,000 people, 26,000 upstanding, born and raised Americans who could not vote because they couldn't produce the multiple documents that were required. It hasn't worked.
I want to ask you about President Trump and his presidential statement that he came out with, that he is basically saying that there should be changes in this. Does that override any legislation, or does that kind of go with it?
No, I think it's the opposite. I think everything overrides that. I think the president way overstepped his bounds here. The U.S. Constitution is really, really clear about this. Article 1, Section 4, you can look it up. It says states are in the driver's seat, basically, when it comes to the time, place, and manner of elections, except that Congress can step in once in a while, as they have done with things like the Voting Rights Act of 1965. It says nothing about a president of the United States being able to just wave a magic wand and issue stuff by executive order. So Minnesota has joined, I think, 18 now other states and gone to court to have a court determine that this is unconstitutional, it's overreach. If people want to do certain things, that's fine, but we've got rules in this country, and you go to Congress and you pass a bill, and that's the way you do it. You don't wave a magic wand in the Oval Office and pretend to override all that stuff.
Now, this measure is going on to the Senate. It would need 60 votes. That's a huge hurdle. Yet some states are already working on this, as you mentioned. New Hampshire, Louisiana, and I believe Wyoming have all passed similar legislation. Can a state legislation override the federal one, or does the federal override the state when it comes to voting?
It's really the federal that would override the state in one sense, and that is the federal can only do it as to federal elections. So you do have one state, Arizona, where they have this weird double system where they have said for one set of elections you need certain requirements, for state elections, and for federal elections, you need a different set of requirements. Now, that's a real mess. We don't want that kind of patchwork across the country. But the federal government, can only implement as to federal elections. But again, we think that the President of the United States here way overstepped his constitutional authority here, and that's what a judge will ultimately have to decide.
Well, Secretary Simon, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.